Hello valued viewers, I hope you're all doing very well. Today we're in the F-15E Strike Eagle and we're looking at unguided bombing. This is a massive area of study of this aircraft. There are lots of options and details to go through. So first we need to look at the theory. To drop a bomb on this aircraft we need to select a bomb and set it up. Then we need to choose a designation method to designate a target. Then we need to choose a bomb mode that we're going to use. Then we're going to choose a release sequence for that bomb mode. Then we're going to choose fusing for the bomb. First, the bombs we have and everything today is relevant to the early access version I have at June 2023. Categories: low drag, high drag and cluster. Low drag: Mark 82 500-pound bomb, Mark 84 2,000-pound bomb. High drag: Mark 82 Air 500 pound, Mark 82 Snake Eye 500 pound, Mark 82 Air 2,000 pound, and the interesting BDU 108 Durandal powered runway penetrator. Cluster: CBU 87 Infantry Light Armor Cluster, CBU 97 Sensor Fused for Heavy and Medium Armor, and finally Mark 20 Rockeye Infantry Light Armor. Designation methods: 1. Navigation designation. 2. Air-to-ground radar designation. 3. Through the HUD, either target designator, auto, CDIP or CDIP auto. Note, anything with square brackets around it is not available yet, so target designator is not available in this early access. 4. Through the TPOD. Bombing modes: 1. Auto, with a sub-mode of auto loft currently not available. 2. CDIP, you may know this as CCIP from other aircraft, and CDIP Auto as a sub-mode. Also direct and manual modes currently not available. Release sequences: 1 station, that means at the push of weapon release, 1 bomb will drop from each selected station. 2. Step: at the push of weapon release, 1 bomb will drop and it will cycle through stations selected evenly to try and keep the center of balance. 3. Ripple single. We get to set up how many bombs at a push and hold of weapon release will drop one after the other at selected distances. And finally, ripple multiple. The same, but instead of a single bomb dropping, 1 bomb will drop from each selected station. Fusing. Do we want to set a nose fuse, a tail fuse for extra penetration, or nose and tail fuse, or with CBU bombs, time or height? As you'll appreciate, that is a lot of different options. So we're going to do 4 attacks today and show as many combinations of as possible. Attack 1, we will attack a large aircraft on the ground with 1 Mark 84 low drag. We'll designate with our air-to-ground radar. Our bombing method will be CDIP. Our release sequence will be step. Our fuse will be tail. Our altitude will be medium, about 5,000 feet, and we'll use program 1. Attack 2. We'll re-attack the same aircraft on the ground with our other Mark 84 low drag bomb. This time we will designate the target through the HUD with our CDIP auto submode. We'll also use our CDIP auto submode to drop the bomb. Our sequence again will be step, and our program will be program 1. Attack 3 on the runway. We'll use 12 Mark 82 Snake Eyes. This time we'll designate through navigation. We'll drop through the auto method. Our sequence will be single ripple, and we'll drop all 12 in 1 ripple. Our fuse will be nose tail. Our altitude will be low, and we'll use program 2. Attack 4, a bunch of tanks. We'll use 1 CBU 97 sensor fused. We'll designate via TPOD. Our bombing method will be auto. Our sequence will be 1 per station. Our fuse will be height determined. Altitude of drop, medium. We'll use program 3. Although it seems a bit arduous, these 4 attacks will allow us to show the use of 3 different weapons, 4 different designation methods, 3 different bombing methods, 3 different sequence types, 3 different fuse settings, 2 different altitudes, and 3 different programs. Here is our loadout. You can see we have Mark 84 low drag, Mark 84 low drag. On the conformal stations here and here we have the 12 Mark 82 Snake Eyes, and on the center station, station 5, we have the single CBU-97. We're also taking the TPOD for designation, and here is a full list of which bombs can be used on which stations. First, controls for today. Just a few. Castle switch right long and left long to assign command or SOI to our left or right screens, and press to assign command to the HUD. TDC up, down, left, right, or TDC axis to slew our cursor on our radar, or TPOD, and press will have various functions today. Boat switch aft to undesignate a target. Weapon release, push or push and hold depending on our mode will either drop the bomb or designate a target, and when in the TPOD, auto acquisition switch forward short to change field of view. Setting up the aircraft. From front cockpit, master arm on, air to ground master mode. Rear cockpit, check our laser is set to arm, and it is. Front cockpit, set up left and right screens. Left screen I think we're going to have as our PACS to set up our weapons, so main menu, armament. Right screen I think we'll start with the air to ground radar. Main menu, air to ground radar. Next, let's set up all of our weapons in the PACS screen. The beauty of PACS is that we can set all of our weapons with all the various options and fuses before we even start the mission. So, from our PACS air to ground, we default to program 1, and according to our first mission today, we're going to be dropping Mark 84, so select Mark 84 station there and there. Now let's set up the bombing mode, CDIP or auto. We want CDIP. Our sequence, step, and our fusing, tail. With those stations still selected, we're now going to populate the next program, program 2, which will be the Snake Eyes, that station and that station. Bombing mode will be auto. Sequence will be ripple. Set the ripple up. How many bombs do we want to drop in the ripple? 12. At what interval should they impact the ground in feet? I don't know, so I'm going to say 420 feet. Fusing. We can't have nose because it's a snake eye, and snake eyes shouldn't have a nose fuse, so we're going to go for nose and tail. That should work. With the snake eye station still selected, let's populate program 3. CBU-97. Auto mode. 1 per station. We can either have time or height fusing. Time means that the bomb will deploy a set amount of seconds after it's been dropped. Height means that the bomb will deploy a certain height above the ground. In fact, I believe it's above sea level. We're going to go for height. Next, we need to set the fusing up for that bomb. We do that from back to PACS. Here, air to ground load. Press step until CBU-97, or the type of bomb we're looking for, appears on the left or right. There. Select it. Apply it to the station. Fuse now becomes available. By default, we are setting up integral fuse, the time fuse. We can set the time here. With the amount of seconds is a letter. We're going to go for the biggest time, which I think is Z or Z, 4.15 seconds. We can also have an additional FZ or FZ fuse, the height fuse, so let's add that on, and we can change the height above sea level that the bomb deploys in hundreds of feet here. Again, you have a letter and a number. Let's go for 700 feet. To save those settings to our selected station, press enter. You can see we've populated 4.15 seconds and 700 feet. Back to PACS main page, air to ground. That is all of our bombs set up and our fuses set up. That is now saved for the entirety of the mission. Next, according to attack 1, we're going to use our air-to-ground radar to designate our first target. So air-to-ground radar we already have here. Assign command or SOI to this screen with castle switch right long. Note our sequence points 1, 2 and 3, also steer points. It just so happens steer point 2 is in the middle of the target area. So let's slave cursor to steer point 2. 1, 2. Next, let's generate a HRM patch map with a size of 0.67 by 0.67 miles by pressing TDC press. It'll take a few seconds to let that generate. At this point, I'll say I assumed that you've already learnt the air-to-ground radar and TPOD through videos which I've done specifically on those. So we're just going to show you using it today. Right, there's our target. There's our large aircraft we want to target. So TDC left, right, up and down or slew axis onto that target. Then to command creation of a target, select target. TDC press to create the target. Target is now created. Next, choose the program we want to use for the first mission, which is program 1. Automatically it brings up our Mark 84 stations, and that's it. We are ready to go bomb. So let's orientate ourselves towards the target. Next I'm going to explain the CDIP symbology. There's the target. This guy here is our velocity vector. That is where our aircraft is flying to. Here is our bombing reticle. In the center is our bombing pipper. The line joining the bombing pipper and the velocity vector is our DIL, a very important line. Here we have the designation diamond. This is highlighting our selected target. Up here on our magnetic heading tape is our command heading. This tells us that the target is off at 280 degrees magnetic. Here we have our target information. Target is currently selected. It is at 10.6 nautical miles. Here we have our time to release, assuming that we were using CDIP auto mode. So flying current parameters, the bomb would release in 43 seconds. That's very important, and we'll come back to that. According to our PACS program, our current bombing mode is CDIP. And finally, our priority sensor generating the calculations for the symbology is SysG. SysG in this aircraft means the AGR navigation system, the primary navigation system. Note, we can change which sensor is used for the calculations. I'm not going to show it today because it's quite complex, but we would use the air-to-ground delivery page where we get access to the sensor hierarchy, where we can change essentially which sensor is used for the calculations. For instance, we could use laser or air-to-ground radar for more accurate calculations. SysG is our default, and to be honest, it works almost all of the time just fine. Next, and a really important point, remember that CDIP has a submode, CDIP Auto. We have to understand whether we're currently in CDIP or CDIP Auto. Now, if we look at the bombing pipper here, the bombing pipper represents the point on the terrain where if we were to drop the bomb now, the bomb would impact. But the pipper only goes down visually as far as the baseline or the bottom of the HUD, which is a line about there. If it reaches that baseline, the pipper no longer goes down any further. So in reality, the actual impact point would probably be down here somewhere. But because the pipper has bottomed out on the baseline, it now switches us automatically over to CDIP Auto. We also know that we're in CDIP Auto because the CDIP Auto time to release queue is here. So currently we're in CDIP Auto. When we fly in certain parameters, it will automatically switch back to pure CDIP, which will show. So in for our bomb run, I would suggest speeds of 400 to 500 knots. In terms of our pitch, we want to use a dive for CDIP at about 20 to 30 degrees. I find works best. Let's start forward stick. The way we're going to do this is we're going to put the pipper slightly below the target, and we're going to have the target on the lower section of the DIL and keep the DIL on the target. We're still in CDIP Auto. Still in CDIP Auto. Still in CDIP Auto. Still in CDIP Auto. Stop. We've now reached a position where the bomb impact point is above the baseline of the HUD. You can see now that the bomb pipper starts working its way up the DIL, hence why we had the target on the DIL. Once the pipper gets to the targets, we press weapon release and the bomb drops. We also know that we're not in CDIP Auto because time to release has disappeared, so we're now in pure CDIP mode. So unpause, weapon release now. Pause again. Note that when we're in pure CDIP mode, when we pressed weapon release, the bomb dropped, but it also created a new target point. The reason for that is for situational awareness. If I want to fly away, come back, I've now got that new target designated. When the bomb has dropped, we get a time to impact here, and we can see the bomb has... Wow, look at that. The bomb has indeed dropped just. Make sure when you do this, you are wings level, and you do not have any negative G, because you will blow yourself up. Right, unpause, some positive G, pull out, get yourself level, retrim as necessary. Smash! Gotcha! That was CDIP. Now we're going to do CDIP auto. So I'm just going to expedite a turn back onto target. We'll re-attack the same target if we can see it. Well, we don't need to see it actually, because our target diamond designator will be there. There it goes. Right, so this time we're going to fly. So we put the Pipper while in CDIP auto mode, which it is in now for the reasons we saw before, on the target. When it is on the target, or as close as we can get to it, we will then push and hold constantly weapon release, and it will switch us through to an automatic bombing mode. Hence why we call this CDIP auto. So let's do that. This is surprisingly hard to get accurate, but let's try it. Wait for it. Now, pushing and holding. Right, I'm now using my right hand to continuously push and hold weapon release, so I won't be able to use my mouse cursor. But we're now in an auto bombing mode from CDIP auto. Note, a line going up from the target designator, which is not the DIL. This is now an auto ASL. Azimuth steering line. It advises what our azimuth should be. All we have to do now is fly so that our bombing reticle with the velocity vector in the center is level in azimuth with the ASL. In terms of height, ideally we'll fly about level. We can do a slight dive and we can do a slight climb, but fly about level. So we're going to fly with our velocity vector on the horizon line, roughly level with ASL within a few milliradians. The more accurate we fly in terms of azimuth, the more accurate the bomb drop will be. Note the line working its way down the ASL, the bomb full Q. Once that reaches the velocity vector, and assuming we're still holding weapon release, the bomb will drop. Bomb drop. Time to impact 15 seconds. Right. Let's follow the bomb. How are we going to do? That's not freaking bad for me. No, it's slightly long. Right, let's assess that and find out why that was slightly long. Well, first of all, it all depends on how accurately I flew. And I'm not the best pilot in the world. I was probably slightly inaccurate. But also, more importantly, look at the latest render of our air-to-ground radar. There is our aircraft, but there is the target point. That's because when I started to push and hold weapon release, it generated a new target point at the exact point where my Pipper was. And my Pipper, as it turns out, was slightly beyond the aircraft. That's just due to bad aiming, and it is quite difficult to aim through that method. Moral of the story, be more accurate. Next, attack 3, and I'm going to just do the re-attack again. The great thing about F-15 viewers, as you'll all soon find out, is the immense power. Even stacked with bombs, like we are at the moment, put the afterburners on, and it's extremely fast. Alright, I just want to face the target. I don't have to, but it's just going to help visualise what's going on here. Right. Consult our sheet. Attack 3, a runway bomb designated via NAV. Okay then. Designation via NAV. Why don't we move our stick out the way? We look here and we zoom in a little bit. There is our base. There is our sequence point 1, 2 and 3, which are also our steer points 1, 2 and 3. It just so happens that steer point 2 is in the middle of the runway that we want to bomb with our snake eyes. So, to our UFC, menu 1, which we're actually already on, press here at steer point. Currently we have steer point 1 selected. I want to select steer point 2, so 2, steer point 2 selected. I now want to convert that steer point 2 to a target point. So 2 dot converts it to a target point. Click there. If I were to consult our TSD down here, we can now see base, initial point, target point, steer point. So steer point 2 has now become target point 2. Next, we need to select that target point. So back to main menu 1, type in the scratchpad 2 press here. We've now selected target point 2 dot, which is in the middle of the runway. That is designation via nav. Let's select our program 2 for the bombs. So program 2 already set up with our bombs and all of our information. That's it. Note we are now in auto bombing mode as set up from PACS. So you can see auto here. Otherwise everything else is the same. It's auto mode again. So target designated diamond and ASL heading up here. Again, we're going to fly so that our bombing reticle or our velocity vector here is on the ASL at the level we want. Level, wait for the bombing cue, push and hold weapon release, and bombs will drop. So, unpause. We're bombing our runway this time, so we need to get ourselves on the radial of the runway, obviously. Otherwise, we are not going to do very well. We're using high drag bombs, which means we can fly low without the worry of blowing ourselves up, which is great. Alright, 1,000 feet, that will do. Wait for the bomb fall line. When that comes, we're going to press and hold weapon release, and we're not going to release weapon release until all 12 bombs have dropped. Bomb fall line in action. Push weapon release. I'm going to try and do this from exterior view. Sorry if it goes wrong. There we go, Viewingtons. Afterburner on. 12 bombs successfully dropped on runway. Right, next, attack 4. So we're going to go to prog 3, all set up with our sensor fused cluster bomb. We're going to head out of the target, re-attack. I know I'm doing very small re-attacks in this tutorial, but I suspect a real pilot would go out at least 10 miles for a re-attack. Alright, turn back in, and attack 4. This time designated via TPOD. So main menu, TPOD. Assign command or soy to it with castle right long. Use our TDC to slew and find a suitable target for a cluster bomb, which I oh look at that, just so happen to have. Zoom in with auto acquisition forward short, center the target, ensure we've got target selected here, which we have, and press TDC press to redesignate target in the middle of those tanks. We've got our bombing symbology in auto again, the same stuff, ASL, bombing reticle, heading command, and so on. So let's unpause. Let's fly with the velocity vector, bombing reticle on the ASL. This is a sensor fused CBU, which means that there's a minimum drop altitude. I'm not actually sure what it is, but I would say above 6,000 feet should be fine. 6,000 feet AGL, that would be. Off we go. 15 seconds. Wait for the bomb fall cue to drop. There it is. Push and hold weapon release. Bomb drop. We are done. 20 seconds impact. It is a high drag bomb. It will take a long time to drop. One important point is that later in early access we'll be able to select the amount of spin. We can control this thing to spin round after it launches. The higher the spin, then the further it will throw its sub-munition. So that will be a cool feature when that arrives. Those tanks are about to go boom boom. And go. Huh. That didn't work very well, viewers. Now, I would suggest the reason, that was probably my error, I would suggest the reason why it only blew one tank up instead of 40. These tanks are 440 feet above sea level, and I set the bomb to explode at 700 feet, which means that it only separated about 200 feet above the tanks, and it just didn't work. So that's my bad. Next time I will have to set a lot higher. So that shows unguided bombing thus far in early access. We used 5 different designation methods. We dropped in 3 different bombing modes. We used, I think, 4 different sequences. We used 3 different fuses and showed 3 programs. I hope that was useful, and see you later. Addendum, welcome back, viewers. There's something that we forgot to show you that's quite important, and I should show you. It is the ability to designate a target from the HUD while in auto mode. We showed CDIP auto, but not auto mode. Let's just show that very quickly. So first we need to go through master arm, air to ground, set up PACS, just set any bomb up as quickly as we can so we're in auto mode. So Mark 84, program 1, auto, any sequence, any fusing. We can see that we're now in auto mode. Now we need to assign command to the HUD, or assign soy to the HUD. So we're going to go to nav mode to do that. It's a temporary workaround. We are going to first press castle switch press, followed by castle switch forward. Press forward. We now have command in the HUD. Now back to air to ground with our auto symbology mode set. Unpause. Now press with the pipper on the thing you want to designate. TDC press. Pang, target designated. We could then redesignate another target by pressing it again and again and again. You could also press boat switch aft to undesignate and then redesignate with TDC press. So it's just a useful way from auto bombing mode that you can designate a target. Bye bye.